Thank you so much for being here today. It was good to hear about how AI is being discussed at the European Congress for Radiology this year, with focus on decision support and outcomes. Because this is where I'll talk about today how at ACFA Healthcare we integrate some of these emerging innovations into the routine workflow for radiology. My name is Anjum. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for ACFA Healthcare. It is an exciting time for ACFA Healthcare. As you can see, we have recently received the Best in Class awards for some of our enterprise solutions. This also relates to the feedback that we are receiving from our customers and the industry in terms of how they see the evolution of these platforms. I just have one disclaimer. I work for ACFA, so I've been with the company for over 12 years now. I have some important giveaways for you towards the last section of the session, because it's not easy to bring everything related to AI in a 15 or 20-minute session. So we have some white papers and case studies that we wanted to share with you. What are we hearing in the industry? What are we hearing from our customers in terms of where radiology is today and how these emerging innovations are impacting? And what we as solution providers, when it comes to enterprise imaging, need to enable for our radiologists. One thing that is becoming very clear is, radiology as a practice is moving more from interpretation to more of a knowledge center or a center of intelligence. Because the more you consolidate imaging, the more you consolidate imaging service lines, there's more need for the ability to understand what are the KPIs and outcomes that you want to monitor, what are the patient journeys that you're monitoring. In the past, AI used to be implemented as an isolated tool. And when early adopters of AI started implementing AI, they realized that AI alone as a black box is not going to work. It has to influence some of their departmental workflows. So from pixel accuracy to measurable outcomes, how do you move forward with that journey? And the real takeaway here is that it is not just about the pixel anymore. It's all about the pathway. And that's where the discussions are centered today in terms of how those emerging AI applications and innovations are going to impact care pathway. To understand this further, we also need to understand the systemic challenges that the radiology is facing today. So these pressures on radiology are structural, they're not temporary. Because when you look at the reports coming out of whether the UK and the Royal College of Radiologists or in Europe here as well, the number of radiologists and the volumes, the way they're increasing, and the staff and capacity challenges. And then to layer on top of that with AI, the requirements from a regulatory perspective, and also the EU AI Act here in Europe, there are multiple layers that you have to monitor. How do you do that? Because there are no software solutions or technologies out there that monitor the algorithm performance or the drift. So that's where, when you think about it, AI alone is not going to fix this shortage that radiology is facing. Remote reading teleradiology is an emerging conversation, but this alone is also not solve the sustainability problem. What will solve is how platform intelligence is going to be enabled to connect all these systems together. So what does this mean for what we are observing with these different AI models that are available in the market? If you recall, between 2014 and 2020, when the discussion was around how do you implement AI, how do you integrate AI, we have moved past beyond that conversation. So it's not experimental. So the question today is not how accurate is the model. The question today is how do you improve outcomes by safely integrating these AI algorithms into your existing ecosystem. To learn this further, we need to understand when the first era of AI, with AI, we call it 1.0, the CNNs, right, the detection algorithms, they were more focused on individual specific use cases, heat maps or triage or specific findings. They were siloed, as I mentioned earlier, in their implementation. And the impact was also related to some of those specific use cases. Whereas beyond 2020, when we move forward, the models evolved, and now we were talking about vision language models, multimodal and foundational models, which introduce their own risks and challenges as well in terms of how do you trust those, because the results of these applications and algorithms seem so real. And it only comes to an experienced user who are able to challenge some of these AI results that you discover, well, you know what, there are challenges with these results and findings. They're not accurate. But these systems were not designed to show you the accuracy or the drift. So how do you go about implementing this? So this shift of, the cognitive leap of radiology AI, ranging from the earlier detection-based algorithms moving towards vision language models, and now the third era that we are seeing is the foundational models with clinical reasoning. So these are all individual layers of AI solutions that are available from individual solution providers and developers. And then what we get questioned as an enterprise imaging PAC solution provider is, ACFA, how do we integrate this? Is your system ready to be able to enable and activate those systems, or do I have to worry about multiple integrations? So that's how we thought about it, and how do we make it work? So how do we enable this operational excellence through enterprise imaging? What the clinicians, when you talk to them, radiologists or other clinicians in hospital, they want clarity. And how do you enable that clarity to through your enterprise ecosystem that they live in? Because this is what radiologists want to see. They don't want new or extra clicks. They want to enable everything in regards to how they access this information from anywhere they're working from. We spoke about teleradiology earlier. The market and the business is increasing. We have cloud-enabled systems as well now. So the radiologists, they want to work in flow, and they want confidence that this AI that is embedded into their workflow is dependable. There is explainability in terms of how these tools are tailored for you. We believe imaging technology should empower people, not to distract them by removing friction, because it is not just about removing the number of clicks in that visual layer that radiologists are going to work with. So we conducted a research over the last few months and asking our radiologists who have been using our AI embedded solutions for the last few years, how do they see, how did they build confidence? And three key themes were emerging based on the feedback that they provided. They're saying AI should not be optional. It should be enabled as a real-time solution so that it works in the background. It's an always-on deployment for them. That's how they have started, benefiting from not only the results generated by these algorithms, but also developing confidence, because that's how they learn how AI will behave on their local samples and data sets. The second important aspect was, how do you build trust and acceptance to the solutions? There are multiple ways of doing it. The way we deploy AI, we have a robust program management, project management methodology in terms of how we build the training data sets, how we train the users before go live, and after go live, how we support them. And the third important aspect is, how do we ensure the safety and confidence in terms of the results being highlighted by AI, how these results are explainable, and how this integrated experience within their enterprise imaging solution looks like. Some of the feedback that we have received from our users is around the fully embedded user experience within enterprise imaging, how it confirms for them the interpretation of results. In certain cases, they're saying, it adds more findings that they might have missed. In other cases, they're saying they're becoming up to 30% more productive, which translates into huge efficiency gains for the departments and the hospitals. Then in the other case, for example, in mammography reading, for example, they're saying it improves their confidence. Usually breast imaging radiologists are very fast in terms of the reporting and turnaround time, so triage is not that much of a challenge for them, as is how the diagnostic intelligence from these AI algorithms is being displayed. So this is the feedback that we have received from some of the breast imaging radiologists as well, that it becomes that safety layer for them in terms of how they can review each and every case, and there is confidence that there is something, that is guiding them in their decision support tools. So the core takeaway here is that there is no magic AI, right? Productivity requires an end-to-end approach. We cannot have AI solutions that impact on one particular aspect of the entire radiology workflow continuum. We have to look at how radiology performs and operates as a cognitive system, and at which layer and why it matters. How do you integrate AI? So AI does not fail because of a particular model. If it was 97% or 98% accurate, it fails because some of the workflows are untouched. And that is where radiologists are challenging enterprise imaging or PACS solution providers is to understand these productivity gains. We have to look at the entire continuum of how AI will influence these workflows, whether it is ordering, interpretation, and follow-up. The challenge is, you might say, yeah, but most of these AI algorithms are pixel-based. It's focused on detection. It's one particular aspect of the workflow. And that's where you need to decide how do you integrate these applications and algorithms into some of these use cases. So the most powerful AI in radiology is not just going to be about drawing heat maps. It is going to be about how an enterprise imaging system is able to read through the metadata generated by these AI algorithms and do something with it. And this is exactly what we have done with enterprise imaging, that we read into and we pull this information from these multiple AI algorithms that a hospital may have deployed and do certain things with it. So we influence workflow from 5 perspectives. And that is the framework that we have created with the system of augmented intelligence, as we call it, with 5 aspects of the workflow that we influence. Starting from intelligent work list or smart work list, if you call it, because there was this data that AI generated, and the ability to triage, the ability to generate certain real-time metrics for the radiologists even before they open a particular study. Workflow orchestration becomes even more super intelligent because an AI, a particular imaging study may have been performed for a different clinical manifestation, and AI has picked up an incidental. So the ability and the benefit of this system is the Ruby allows orchestration of those specific cases to a specific group of radiologists who have certain specialty focus. So that also improves departmental productivity and efficiency in terms of how we route studies. Advanced visualization, we take it to the next level, because the feedback that we got when we were developing our AI solutions back, like now it's a deja vu, 12 years ago, when we started building AI solutions, when there was no FDA cleared AI algorithm. We were one of the first PACS vendors who started developing chest X-ray AI solutions, and we realized then that we cannot have a separate layer of visualization for AI results. It has to be embedded natively into their routine workflow within enterprise imaging, and that's how we developed these advanced visualizations, leveraging industry standards to display those results natively. The fourth pillar of this is how do you display the results? Hanging protocols for radiologists is a super important topic, and the ability to automate hanging protocols based on those AI automated rules is relevant. And so is analytics and reports, because if you are collecting so much metadata, that means you need to be also ability to generate automated reports, analytics in terms of how these algorithms and reports are consolidated. This is something that users are beginning to appreciate now as they have gone live. So what AI really needs is not just about replicating some or ensuring some of these results are consolidated properly, but also the important aspects around explainability and trust. Because yes, once you deploy AI, you go live at a hospital, you cannot just leave the customer. Either you have to hold their hands for the next few months and make sure that they get used to how these algorithms work, or you need to have embedded tools within your system which can show these results, that how AI is performing. Are they accepting or rejecting more cases? What are those results and findings? So this is something that we believe in terms of how validated algorithms need to be seamlessly deployed to improve their user satisfaction and user adoption of these systems as well. So that's where explainability and trust comes in. And that's how we see that enterprise imaging has become that nervous system of the hospital. Think about this, the era of PACS to enterprise imaging, and enterprise imaging now becoming that system of intelligence that is able to intelligently control display results from these different algorithms. And then the favorite topic, right, which we also heard earlier on, was these AI agents, right? We consider these AI agents as the agents of change. I'll give you an example in terms of how these, I spoke earlier about this detection pixel-based algorithms, right? But there is also a lot of non-pixel intelligence that also resides within your existing PACS or risk systems or even electronic health records. So the ability to pull that information in a structured manner in relevance to this particular study that the radiologists are looking for. And this is not new for us. This is something that we started working on in 2016, 2017. We evaluated those use cases in terms of how patient summaries can be extracted from existing systems. And I'll give you an example here, in terms of what outcomes these agentic AI algorithms or use cases can bring. For example, if an algorithm identifies a lung nodule, it could track it for 3 years, and it could also flag some of the missed follow-ups and automate certain care coordination next steps. So what does the big picture look like if I were to expand further this particular use case? End-to-end, we spoke about end-to-end enterprise imaging impact with artificial intelligence. So HSCT may have been done, modality sends and pushes images to enterprise imaging. You run an algorithm that picks up nodules, intelligently prioritizes it for your workflow, generative reporting, creates those automated reports based on those specific findings. And then you have embedded outcomes and decision support tools and literature also embedded into this. So we are bringing at this layer now multiple AI algorithms for one particular use case end to end. So you might say, well, there are marketplaces out there, they have hundreds of algorithms, but I'd like to say is that radiology, if you think about this from an end-to-end care pathway perspective, you don't need hundreds of algorithms. You need orchestrated intelligence embedded within your enterprise imaging strategy. There is more, there are 2 minutes left. There is more to talk about, but as I said, I'll share with you a case white paper that we have recently published. You can take a picture or you can scan the QR code. There are detailed use cases in terms of what we are doing currently and what we have on the roadmap in terms of enterprise imaging. Beyond this, also tomorrow at 1 p.m., you can scan this QR code as well. We are moderating a session with our advanced system users, enterprise imaging users, who are also using our AI packages. It'll be a fascinating conversation for you as well, where they will share their experiences in terms of what they have learned and how they are also guiding us to, they are also challenging us, in fact, to do also much better. So I really want to thank you. And this is our booth at Hall X2, number 214. You can please visit us. We have some of these solutions in action, how they look like, and we'll be happy to take your feedback as well. Thank you. We have 51 seconds left.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the audience? No questions, then I'll have one. I mean, I have many, but great presentations. Always good to see the progress that you are making every year on this. But it's clear that these orchestrators can do many things and they can impact in many ways. But if you were to design, let's say, a clinical trial where you want to measure the impact, sites using Ruby, sites not using, or however you want to design, what would be the primary endpoints you want to measure to demonstrate the impact of these orchestrators that can do so many things?
You're asking our secrets, huh? But I'll share with you. There was the initial phase of AI, right? When between 2014 was like the development phase, right? In 2018, when we started implementing commercial algorithms, the takeaway and the challenge that we saw was when you want to convince a customer that, hey, my algorithm is the best one, that era was more about sensitivity, specificity, and the accuracy of the algorithm. However, the challenge was when you implemented those algorithms, radiologists were struggling to understand how it is going to help me in my day-to-day routine practice. Is it improving my reporting turnaround times? Is it helping me detect faster? Because as a radiologist, I can see the nodules, right? But if this nodule is quantifying or segmenting certain aspects, is it helping me in that way? So that was the phase between 2018 and 2022, and COVID came in between as well. It was a bit challenging. So fast forward, we have now learned, and what we do with our customers is, and customers are also becoming, they have learned a lot in this evolution of their AI learnings as well, as they have curated data sets, and they will expose those curated data sets to a set use cases. And even before they deploy, so now you don't need a 6 months trial to deploy an algorithm. They will have 15, 20, or 50, anonymized cases, run the algorithm on those cases, and come and show us the results. So we've had situations where customers who were asking for a 6 month trial, we sat down with the customer, they evaluated 4 or 5 different algorithms. We sat with the radiologist for 3 hours, and one by one, it was spreadsheet based. Now it is becoming more automated. So the message here is, curated, if you have, as an organization, curated data sets, we can help you evaluate those. And the second important aspect of this is, how do you train the users? Because this is really important. If you train the users on those curated data sets, which are on their own local samples, the confidence level of radiologists is much superior as compared to you train them on demo data sets. And that is something that we have seen as well, that the acceptance of these AI solutions has improved as a result. There is more,
Sure.
to discuss.
But demonstrating real-world impact, obviously, is super important. Well, thank you very much again, and thank you all for being here for this session today. Hope you learned a lot from the latest developments, and we'll see you in the other AI Theater sessions.
Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at ACVA booth. Thank you.